All right, folks, we had no games yesterday here at the 2025 Rattan Ram Baseball Spring Classic. And so originally we were supposed to have an 11 a.m. game that won. This game got kicked to 1:30, still has not started. So in effect, these are the day two games, which feature a three-way between Tupelo, Silo, and Wright City. There will be no fifth, third, or first consolation championship matchups today. This will, in effect, put Silo as the home team on the scoreboard. They will play back to back games. Each team will play two, they'll be done, and then at approximately 7:30 p.m., we'll have a rematch of yesterday's game three, day before, I should say, on Thursday, between Rattan and Worcester. So your matchups today will be Tupelo versus Silo, Tupelo versus Wright City versus Silo, and then closing out the night will be Rattan versus Worcester. Tough, tough draw for Tupelo coming into the tournament. They are winless on the season, which is very atypical for a Clay Weller head coach squad. However, Tupelo struggling last year with the replacement of a lot of senior experienced starters, and this season has been really no more favorable. They did miss a couple of games at the start of the season against Boswell, Latta, and Wapanucka. However, started the season March the 6th with an 8-6 competitive loss against 4A Plainview, and then dropped their next four games. These, some cases, higher ranked teams, all ranked, I should say, against Roth 13-5, Calera 8-2, Ripley 19-11 in a hitters fest, and then in extra innings against Allen 8-6. Keep an eye on the Mustangs. They could be a upstart team for the new A1 A2 division, in addition to 2A 1 and 2. We'll touch on that here shortly. So Tupelo enters the tournament, the only team not ranked in the top three. And by that, I mean Worcester, Rattan, Colbert, Wright City, and Silo. Silo, the lone 3A squad. Tupelo, the lone Class B team in the 2025 Rattan Ram Spring Classic. There were two teams that backed out and dropped, so as a result, no longer have eight teams with the format of four games Thursday, Friday, then three Saturday after two teams are eliminated from a losers or bottom bracket. I don't know why, but we still just cannot get this game started. I've literally been here at the school since 10 a.m. and just 3.5 hours of doing nothing, then very, very boring. But I think we are moments away. Silo 7-2 on the year. Aspirations for making a further run this year. Eliminated in the 3A inaugural season 2024 as they played Washington, the three-time defending state champions. Okay, folks, I think we are moments out. Aiden Walkup will be the starter for Tupelo. I've yet to get any rosters for the Silo Rebels, but it'll be number 25 on the mound. Silo will get the bookend games. They'll play the first and third. Again, these times are approximately now 1:30, 3:30, 5:30. Wright City and in effect Tupelo will play back-to-back games, and then I would assume we're still going to shoot for Rattan versus Worcester, but we've had four changes already, so at this particular juncture, nothing would surprise me. I'll do my best to keep you updated as we progress through the tournament. But again, the format is Tupelo back-to-back games versus Silo and Wright City. Wright City back-to-back games versus Tupelo and Silo. Silo plays the first and third games today. And then, if everything goes according to plan, we'll have a rematch of game three on Thursday between Rattan and Worcester. It was competitive until we got to the final inning in the sixth, and a massive floodgate of hits, double RBI singles, and two grand slams and a couple of wild pitches and errors made it an 11-3 run rule victory for Rattan over Worcester. And here we are. We are now underway. It'll be the Tupelo Tigers up to bat. You're watching PNTV coverage. Day three, games 4, 5, and 6 for the 2025 Rattan Rams Spring Classic. And we are re-officially underway. Paints the corner, evens up the pitch count, one apiece. Ball put in play, flies out to the shortstop. He perfectly times that on the back pedal. So far, no worse for wear in the dirt. You'll notice there's a tri kind of color, one more of a tan, one darker red, and then brown. My understanding, Valiant and Antlers dirt stores bought out today. Head coach Michael Clay and staff got every bag in the area that they could get. This has been packed, resodded, and trailered about 15 to 20 times each section. That is going to go right to the left fielder. Nice snag. And it is a 3 up, 3 down inning for the Tigers. We'll head to the bottom of the first. It'll be the Rebels coming up to bat. You're watching PNTV coverage. Ram Classic here. I'd like to thank Taco Casa and Shamrock Bank, our coverage sponsor for today's live stream, video highlights, and your tournament graphic that has been updated 5 or 6 times now. Well, we had a weather change, no games yesterday. To say that they got some rain would be an understatement. It absolutely poured most of the day. Field was super sloshy and wet, still really, really wet in sectional areas out toward outfield. I would say that if you're going to have any miscues here today, it is definitely going to be rounding first and especially second and third, the section of the field that abuts with the west side of the field. So, in other words, down third base line into center field, that's the part of the field that got the majority of the rain. Um, just happened to get here at 10 and saw. So, with the advent of the sun, a cool creation God made for us, hopefully this will pick up some dryness and make it a little bit easier for the follow-up games. Just a reminder, the fifth, third, and first place championship game, the consolation matchups, are all canceled. Your games today will be the original games for Friday. In other words, games 4, 5, and 6. As you can probably tell in the headset, it is exceptionally windy. So if it gets much worse than this, we will probably just cut the mic and try to go as low on the volume as we can. Unfortunately, nothing I can do about it. We do have very low chances of precipitation and rain. However, there are rain clouds all over us in front, behind, to the side. So that could change quickly. Not that it's necessarily important, but Yesterday's games were postponed and then pushed to today. So, recap of Thursday's games are very quickly as follows. Got underway with a victory for Worcester in their matchup against Colbert, a game that started off competitively, one apiece, and then just for whatever reason, man, it really went south for Colbert, and they gave up multiple runs, multiple hits, and ended up losing that game pretty comfortably. And something that can happen in baseball and often does. Team gets on a roll, and there is no turning back. So the final score of that game, Rattan 11-1 over Colbert. Final through four. Colbert did play much more competitively in the next game against Worcester. It went 8 extra innings and ended up being a Worcester 9-8 walk-off win on a wild pitch in the bottom of the eighth. And then, as I alluded to earlier, the final game of Thursday before we were postponed, Rattan 11-3 over Worcester. That should be the rematch game today at approximately 7:30, but we will see how weather permits and if they decide to continue to play that game. Chops it over to the shortstop, bobbles the ball, still gets him on the 6-3 ground out. So that is our first indicator that there is going to be some real sink effect with the balls on this topsoil dirt. As you can probably tell by us quickly zooming in here, there are a lot of divots, just a lot of extra dirt that was put on the field. I'm talking a lot, probably 40, 50 bags minimum. It took them about 2 hours just to spread the dirt. And so we'll see if that compensates for the loose and wet turf under. The tarp did not keep all the rain off. So theoretically, just different types of dirt. We've got a three kind of trifold color here on the mound, and especially out in infield. Ball is hit, swings, goes over to our right. He's going to run out of space. We'll have a foul ball. So a good start for Walkup. He's been able to limit pitches thus far, put two balls in play with only four pitches total. The PNTV watch list player for potential player of the year. Wearing the double zeros today for the Tupelo Tigers and their yellow and gray uniforms. Chops under it again. This one's going to hook foul. I think it's going to go behind the concession stand. And it is to a 1-2 pitch deficit now. And so Walkup having a very favorable at bat here. And one hops it in the dirt. 2-2 count. Wind catches that one and frames. It's going to shift over to the shortstop. And it is back-to-back counts, 2 down. There'd be any advice I could give to the batters today, this is going to be a pitcher's park until this wind subsides. You want to keep the ball low and right over. Ooh, wild throw, E5. Runner will be safe, advances to second, and the Rebels have a runner in scoring position now with two down. I don't know if he lost his footing in the dirt or if he just simply miscalibrated, but ball was about a foot higher than the glove outstretched for the Tigers. Routine 5-3 ground out now gives Silo an opportunity here to jump on the scoreboard and score first. Well, let's put in play again. Back to the third baseman. Fires over this time on the point. And so it is a 5-3 ground out after the E5. Silo Strands 1. Your score through 1. 0-0. We'll head at the top of the second inning. It'll be the Tupelo Tigers coming up to bat. You're watching PNTV coverage of the 2025 Rattan Rams Spring Baseball Classic. As far as matchups go, this is the largest disparity in win-loss records, 7-2 versus 0-5. It is also the biggest gap between the classifications. Silo now in 3A, and Tupelo the sole Class B squad here today. With the advent of the new A1 and 2 divisions, as well as 2A, it's going to be an interesting season for Rattan. You'd have to say that they are a absolute prohibitive favorite to win potentially the A2 inaugural spring championship. Uh, Larger classifications. I don't know how they came up with them, to be honest with you. I think it's supposed to be based upon ADM, but some of them look very suspect. They split them kind of 48 and 48. So 48 teams are A1, 48 and A2. And the theory of it is the classification of A1 are your larger schools, very similar to 6A1 and 2 football that they started years back, copying Texas and UIL. Don't really think anybody was clamoring for a division of A and 2A. I do think that there has been some sentiment growing to potentially do a super conference of like a 7A for some of the massive schools in the Metro Tulsa and Oklahoma City markets, with the advent of Edmond and Moore all potentially having four Class 6A high schools. I think more still speculating and talking about building theirs. And then obviously the Broken Arrows, Owassos, Jinx, and Bigsby's. There's a real disparity in Class 6A. I don't think there was a need to create a new class for A. 2A, just for the simple number of teams, I could somewhat get. But you look at the number of teams in Class B, it is massive, just absolutely huge class now. And we'll cut over and give you kind of some updates on some of the teams that are now in that classification. He's going to throw down a bunt. We're going to have a wild throw. And so it's deja vu all over again. Both third basemen with errors. E5 allows the base runners to be on and still in advance to second. So the Tigers cooking here early on. So some notable teams that will be in the higher classification, A1, Allen, Amber Pocasset, Apache, Arapahoe Butler, Caddo, Dewar. And then after that, there's kind of a jump down, and you don't really kind of see another team that's a traditional powerhouse until you get to Okarche. Definitely a live dog. Ripley, I would keep an eye on them. Definitely think they'll be a state semifinalist or quarterfinalist. And then Worcester and Wright City, the other teams that would likely be state finalists or quarterfinalists in the A1 classification. For A2, it's a little bit more truncated, but notable teams are Bingham, Cameron, Canute, also Crowder, is another team that has traditionally done fairly well in the fall and spring formats. Navajo is another team to keep an eye on. Rattan, obviously, Red Oak. And then after that, you've got Shattuck, Sealing, Stonewall, a bump up from B. And then pretty much, I think, it's going to be a very interesting season after that with teams that are just not your traditional powerhouses. So I think Class A1 going to be a battle. Riot City and Okarchi, Dewar. I think Class A2 now. Definitely Rattan is the team to beat. Gets the ground out, fires over. Base run remains at second. Talked to a couple of the players from Rattan Thursday night, and they are not in favor of the new classification. They feel like a lot of us do that the better teams are in A1 now, and they want to play the A1 teams. But nonetheless, don't get a say, and that's the way she goes. Silo struggled their first inaugural season in Class 3A last year. They did make it to the state quarterfinals, but were handily defeated by Washington. So Rebels coming into the tournament with something to prove after multiple opportunities to advance and extend their spring streak of all those Class 2A state championships, momentarily snapped by the COVID season and then moving up to 3A. So unable to defend and potentially win that seventh in a row. Swing and a miss. Well, we're getting more sun. There's more wind, so that's favorable for additional games to come on. Our next game matchup will be Tupelo against Riot City. That may be 3:30-ish. Now, I don't know that we'll be able to get right on the money unless we have a run rule. But that's the next scheduled game here on Prep Nation TV. In for the ball. 2-1 pitch count now. And high and outside. So pitching now, a little bit of a struggle. And in all, one of our watch list players as well for Class 3A that issued a Gabe Hernandez and Zane Sanders. And evens it now and back to a full count. Kind of a blooping shot. This is going to be a problem ball all the way out to center field wall, and Tupelo is going to take the lead on an RBI double. So beautiful hit. He just absolutely split the difference between the defenders and didn't think it was going to drive quite that far, but ended up one hopping to the wall. So a beautiful, beautiful double for the Tupelo Tigers. If there is a team that is playing absolutely with nothing to lose or house money, it would be Tupelo. They have yet to win a game this season. They've been super competitive in three of their games, losing two in extra innings and two by one run only. A very surprising check when I looked at the records when I was finalizing graphics on Wednesday. I was absolutely shocked to see that they had yet to win a game. They had started the season preseason in the top three, and I stated in the broadcast that all the teams were ranked in the top three. And then I followed up and looked at that. I said, "Oh, week three, they're number 14 now." So back to back, really, really tough seasons for Clay Weller, the recent Hall of Fame entrant. That ball is going to go over to the second baseman, so it's an easy 4-3 ground out. Runner will advance to third after the double, and there are now two down. And the beautiful strike down the pine. 1-2 pitch favors the Rebels. Money pitch on its way. He wallops that one out to right field. Looks like he's going to be able to snag it pretty easily, and it's a fly out. Tigers score one, Strand one. We'll head to the bottom of the second inning. It'll be the Rebels coming up to bat. You're watching PNTV coverage, day three action here at the 2025 Rattan Rams Spring Baseball Classic. I'd like to thank our coverage sponsor for today's tournament graphic, live stream score updates, and video highlights. Taco Casa and Shamrock Bank. If I recall correctly, last year we had Valiant in the tournament here, and I was trying to remember if it was Batiste or yeah. And I was kind of surprised, not trying to throw shade at anybody, but they did scratch and back out. Um, Surprised that there weren't a couple of other teams that didn't jump in. It's a marquee tournament. You've got the I-40 Classic up by Weatherford, the annual Tuttle Tiger Bash that is your traditional spring break tournament. Changes in baseball this year. Dale foregoing their inaugural season after a great run in basketball. They just decided to go to Florida. And so we didn't have the annual Dale tournament either. This one takes on a whole different complexion. Originally supposed to be two pods of three teams, to where Colbert and then Rattan and Worcester were to play Thursday, Tupelo, Silo, and Wright City to play yesterday on Friday, and then reseed again based upon records. Tiebreakers are going to be head-to-head results, runs scored, and coin toss if necessary. And in the end, that becomes a moot point. And so it now is just going to be the original pairings. I guess there will be internal bragging rights if you finish 2-0. Right now, the records stand: Rattan 2-0, Worcester 1-1, and Colbert 0-2. And gives him the outside corner, evens up the pitch count one apiece. That is a deep hit out to center, clears the wall. Home run, Rebels. We have a tie ball game, 1-1. Rounding second and heading into third. That gets the Rebel crowd up on their feet, and it is a Rebel yell. Solo home run over the center field wall. He caught that one deep, deep, deep. Nice stroke, solid swing, and it cleared the wall with ease. Mendenhall here at the plate, starting pitcher for the Rebels. He'll wave off momentarily. So walk up gives up the solo home run. And after an RBI double, teams trade shots in back to back top bottom portions of the inning after a scoreless first. just inside. All right, well, we talked about the A classification splitting. Now, the 2A classification, your 2A2 teams that are notable. We're going to stop that update real quick, fly out to left field. All right, so the 2A2 smaller schools, Colbert was one of the teams in action yesterday. I think Central Salis saw a team that might have a opportunity to make some noise. Haskell, Hobart, Hooker. Ketchum right now, I believe, is number 2. And so keep an eye on them. Mangum and Minko would also be schools. Oklahoma Union, I think, is the top 5 team right now. Pawnee, and then Riverside, and then Talaina, Tushka, Vanos, and after that, good luck trying to forecast who would be your 8 quarterfinalists. It's going to be again, if Tushka can right the ship, you would have to think that they would be a prohibitive favorite along with, at this particular point, definitely catch them. They look very, very good. Colbert came into the tournament, actually, the week 3 number 1 team. Chops it over the shortstop. It's going to be a 6-3 ground out. Scoops the ball, drops it in safe, infield single without error. And the dirt causing problems for multiple defenders. Looked like the third baseman in the first inning misstepped and lost his footing and overthrew a routine ground out. And now the first baseman digs down to get the ball, gets dirt instead of the ball. Checks him in high and tight, back at first. All right, so your 2A1 larger classifications, your traditional powers, Calera, Cashin, Christian Heritage team that might do some damage, Dale. And then after that, Howell, Latta, and then Oaktahaw, Panama. Preston definitely, I think, is a legitimate state semifinalist, finalist. And then after that breakout, I think you may have maybe 1 or 2 teams that might be able to really make a push, but you would have to say in 2A1, the prohibitive favorite, likely Dale, Cashin, Preston, in my opinion. Ball gets away from him, steals second. So it'll be interesting to see as the season progresses. Right now, we're technically in week 3. For a lot of schools, though, this is effectively week 1 play after basketball playoffs ended, getting a 1 weekend of practice last week, and then this being the real crux of the season. For some of the teams, they've actually played 4 weeks, and the records have been absolutely hilarious. Some teams with 14, 15 games, and others with only 1 or 2. Base runner once again for the Rebels at second. It is a 1-1 pitch count. Money pitch on its way, just hooks foul. And it'll take us to 1-2. Our schedule next week will be in Chakota on Monday for a slow pitch game to honor Ms. Haley Prince with her All-State Award. And then we have now picked up a game on Tuesday for Asher versus Roth. And then on April the 3rd, we're still trying to line up sponsors. We may end up doing the doubleheader broadcast for Elk City and Tuttle baseball. Originally, it's supposed to be a home and home. I don't know how they came up with the 2 and 4:30 format, because by the time you play the games, there is no way that you could drive from Tuttle to Elk City and get there on time for a 4:30 start. But those will now be the start times for both games at Elk City. So we will be at that tournament as well, doing some PNTV awards for Ellis Sotil and Miss Aubrey Pogue. Two down now after the ground down. 2-0 count is in for the strike. Looked like it might be a little bit low, but it is called. Gabe Hernandez here batting for the Rebels and looking to break the 1-1 tie with a runner in scoring position at second. Ooh, nice hack. Over to third. One hands it, fires, tags, and snags. So it's a nice 5-3 ground out. Rebels unable to convert and score. Your score through 2-1-1. We'll head to the top of the third inning. It'll be the Tigers coming up to bat. You're watching PNTV coverage, day 3 action of the 2025 Rattan Rams Spring Baseball Classic. So the long and short, your scoring summary: RBI double for Tupelo, solo RBI for Silo. After a scoreless first, we score one apiece in the top bottom of the second, and Tigers will be back up to bat looking to get the lead back again. Just a reminder, at the conclusion of this game, they will do a little bit of light work. It's my understanding they're going to try to keep going as fast as possible instead of the standard 30-minute gaps in between games. And so we should see Wright City on the field shortly. And then once they are doing their lineups and hitting drills and warm ups, then should be good to go approximately 20 minutes or so, give or take, at the conclusion of a game here. Tupelo will play 2 in a row. Silo would take off a game, and then the final game for Silo today will be against Wright City, weather permitting, barring any changes again. In for the strike. Foreman up to bat the first time in the game. Takes the second ball. 2-1 is the pitch count. And he gets the walk. He hustles down. I like it. Walk up now at the plate, back at the top of the lineup. Unable to connect in his first at bat. So a rare pitcher versus pitcher matchup here between Sam Mendenhall and Aiden Walkup. Both Prep Nation watch list players for their respective classes of B and 3A. They make the cut as semifinalists, likewise recognized as All-State. And then if they make the cut to finalists, officially PNTV Elite. And the winner is Player of the Year. We'll also be recognizing a Pitcher of the Year and likely a Most Outstanding and Most Valuable Player across the board, in addition to the Glove Defensive Player of the Year. Total of 19 players in all on all 6 teams Watch list players for our 2025 spring season. Momentarily, we get a brief timeout for Coach Clay Weller and pitcher, and he'll resume the hit. Three one. And rolls foul. Woo, nice hustle. Well, you wouldn't know it, but the team that hasn't won a game, folks, has not received the memo that they can't win this one. Tupelo playing very loose and very confident. They've had base runners on each inning, now two runners on, first and second. More importantly, no outs here for the Tigers. Woo, that one would have gone way down. Got to lower the barrel on those particular bunts. Otherwise, that would have been almost just an infield hit. That would have been a routine tag out. Guffey likewise looking for his first hit of the game. Squares takes strike, so after the foul bunt attempt, now in an 0-2 deficit, he's either going to have to convert this to a swing or really be on point. Squares up, drops it down. Fielder's choice, he's going to go third, didn't get it. And so it's an infield bunt, single, bases loaded, and it is now all cooking for Tupelo. I'm not seeing the player in the lineup here for number 9, so I apologize, folks. I looked several times and I just don't see him listed. So if we have a change in the batting order, I wasn't aware of it. Hmm. Well, we may have a uniform glitch that may explain that. This may be Cash Wainscott. It says number 9, though. All right, deep shot out to left field. Back it goes. And it is a grand slam. Tupelo reclaims the lead. A massive blast. And boy, look at the hustle of these base runners. They are right on top of each other. Bam, bam. I like it. Wow. Two dingers, and that one is a huge one. All right, so Wayne Scott, we do have confirmation on that. He is one of our watch list players of the year as well. So congratulations. A massive, massive hit. This one rolls right down left field line. And back to back hits now for the Tigers, or I should say back to back to back. After the infield bunt and potential throw out at third doesn't materialize. And it is a huge inning developing for the Tupelo Tigers. Metcalf hitless so far in the game. His second opportunity. He's going to throw down a bunt, get in and on the action. Fires over. Fielder's choice 5-3 on the ground out. The base runner advances to second, one down now. And that'll bring up yet another opportunity for Tupelo to extend their lead now 5-1. Daniel at the plate, looking to be the hometown hero. Ends up being a beautiful day today here. Weather's going to be in the low 70s. And then by the time we get into the evening games, up as high as 79, possibly 80, if the local forecast is to be believed. 2-0 pitch count, though, favors the Tigers. Going to be a little patient here. You could tell he was thinking about it. 3-0 is the count. Mendenhall now struggling in pitch command and location. We'll have a brief coach batter conference as the catcher and pitcher talk at the mound. And inside corner, ball forward. Runners on first and second once again for Tupelo. Money pitch is on the money. I mean, in the bank on the money. Well, that was a nice pitch. One hops it, though, in the dirt. Brendan, our third watch list player for Tupelo, Brandon Bastable, that is on our watch list for Player of the Year as well. Seen this young man play for several seasons now. Makes contact, however, goes foul. Count will resume 1-2, one down, and two base runners on for the Tigers, first and second. K time. Two down. After a nondescript first inning, boy, business is picked up in the top, bottom of the second, and top of the third. 6 runs now plated. Fouls it off. In for the strike number 2. Solid contact. This one's going to shift over to center field. He snags it, and the Tigers score four, strand two. We'll head to the bottom of the third inning. It'll be the Silo Rebels coming up to bat. You're watching PNTV coverage here at Rattan High School, the 2025 Ram Spring Classic. I'd like to thank Shamrock Bank and Taco Casa for today's coverage for our tournament graphic, score updates, live stream, and video highlights. As far as I know, we have no time limits on the games. That could change, though. However, run rules in effect only after 4 and 5. So I don't anticipate that being an issue or a problem. Run rules are 10 after 4 and 8 after 5. Well, we've lost the sun momentarily again. Chances of precipitation are very low today, but it certainly does look like it's wanting to rain again. There's rain clouds back each direction again, so we'll see how long that lasts. Rips it to third, in a busy spot today. 5-3 ground out once again, one down. Hot shot. It's going to be at least a double. I think he's going to have to stand up. Yep. Fines throw from left field. Boy, that was on the money. So Silo cooking here now in the bottom of the third with the double, one down. An opportunity for the Rebels to get back in the run column after a huge grand slam at the top of the third for the Tupelo Tigers. This one's going into the wall. Going to be an RBI double, so back-to-back doubles for the Rebels, and it is 5-2 down. Slightly different angle, but that one was a deeper shot. We'll have a courtesy runner at second for the Rebels. Can't tell if it's number 6. In for the strike. Both pitchers really having their moments to where they are especially on point. And this one is going to be a single and oh, should have kept him. Tagged out. Well, so he gets the single, steals on the throw for the fielder's choice tag out. Money was, I mean, it was just money in the bank on the throw. Squared up, perfect spot on the center plate. Rebels tagged out at home. Otherwise, would have been on the corners now, first and third. Instead, two outs, runner at second. One hopper gets away, and Silo steals by default third, and back to scoring position for the Rebels. And wild throw proves costly. Steals the base. Silo back on 5-3. And a walk. So walk up really struggling now here in the bottom of the third inning after it was business as usual first and then had recuperated nicely in the second. Rebels rallying now to split the difference of the lead, scoring two. They now trail 5-3. Scoreboard should have a one underneath the four. Coach Weller will head to the mound. 2 outs, 2-0 pitch count. Not liking the trajectory of where the ball's going here, so talking to him about calming down, getting back into his rhythm. Another pitcher versus pitcher battle. Bob said foul. This is a solid shot to center field. However, it's going to hook. Center fielder snags it. So the Rebels score two. We'll head at the top of the fourth inning. It is now Tupelo 5, Silo 3. You're watching Prep Nation TV coverage of the 2025 Rattan Rams Spring Baseball Classic. All right, we're going to have a pitching change here for the Rebels at the top of the fourth. So Mendenhall will go a full 3.0. Mendenhall done on the day, 61 pitches in all. He'll give up 5 runs, all of those earned on a RBI single that leads to the double after the stolen base and then the grand slam. North on the mound now for the Rebels as we start the top of the fourth. And gives him the corner call. Makes contact, hooks it foul, so we'll have an 0-2 count resume. K time. Wouldn't be surprised to see either team trying to stretch arms, especially for Silo because they have a gap in between games. So if you keep your arm count low and you need them by relief in the second game tonight against Riot City, where pitching will probably be at a premium, then that may very well explain the substitution. Mendenhall only going full 3 innings here early. Surprising game, but that's why they play them. This one's going to hook over to first base, keeps going. They're not going to be able to chase it down. Nice hustle, though, by the right fielder and second baseman. He actually ended up closer to the ball, I think, than the right fielder was. And strike number 2. Well, they've been very consistent. If it's coming across the plate and even a little high, they are definitely giving it. Evens up 2-2. Rips it foul. Swing and a miss. Two down. And he is dialed in since taking over. And it is another strikeout. Wow. So nicely done in relief. Clears the side, and we will head to the bottom of the fourth inning. Still a very winnable game for Silo. 5-3 is the lead. Rebels will be up to bat. Like to thank Taco Casa and Shamrock Bay, our coverage sponsor for today's tournament graphic, live stream, video highlights, and score updates. All right, we've got a glitch on the scoreboard. That zero that's now in the bottom of the fourth should have been assigned top of the fourth. Score is 5-3. And strikeout. So walk-up returns the favor. Over to the second baseman, and it is a tight 4-3 ground out. And now two down for the Rebels. Outside makes it 3-1. Now full count, so two down. Rebels trying to avoid the first inning when it was a no-for. Otherwise, they put up 1 and 2 runs in back-to-back innings. That one's going to fall for the lead single, and now they've got an opportunity to keep their streak alive. 5-3 ball game between Class B Tupelo and Class 3A Silo. This originally was Game 4 scheduled for yesterday. There are two pods and tiers of the teams. Since the weather changed the games yesterday and we had to reschedule for today, there is no fifth, third, or first place consolation game today. It will simply be Tupelo, Wright City, and Silo, and a three-way, both teams playing twice. Silo gets the first and third game, otherwise back-to-back games for both Tupelo and Wright City. I don't see any way, shape, or form that we're going to hit the 3:30 toss out for the next game, so we're going to be way off schedule. We'll do our best to start the feeds approximately 5 minutes or so before the beginning of each game. That way we can get the highlights up at the conclusion of each prior result. This one's going to cross hook problem ball deep out to right field, flies out the. And so your score through four. It is Tupelo 5, Silo 3. We'll head at the top of the fifth inning. It'll be the Tigers coming up to bat. You're watching PNTV. So a scoreless first and fourth for Silo. In between, 1 run on the home run and two in the prior inning. Biggest difference of the game has been by far the grand slam, and Wayne Scott absolutely delivering the mail for the Tigers, looking to get their first victory of the season. I had to double check and look at it twice. I didn't believe it the first time I saw it. but they enter the game 0-5 this year, 3 rainout cancellation games, and so could have had a couple of opportunities to play some more games to get that coveted win. At least 4 more weeks coming up of invitational play before we look at a potential district, regional, and then state playoff format. The fall, we got introduced to the inaugural 2A season. This year, we'll be looking at a new A1 and A2 and 2A1 and 2A2. Can't say that I'm a big fan of either of those changes, but it is the way that it is. They had a big hack swing and a miss. Wayne Scott back at the plate. Woo, and goes down swinging. Two one now on the pitch count. Cash Whopper rips it over to second. 4-3 ground out, and it is now 2 down for the Tigers. Nate Metcalf now at the plate for the Tigers. 2 down here, a very efficient pitching replacement for Silo. He had 3 strikeouts in the prior inning. He's induced 2 outs here quickly in the fifth as well. Northcutt has been absolutely money in the bank. Well, that one would have been a home run had it been straight. Rips it out just over the outstretched glove. Nice try there by the shortstop. So single and another base runner on for the Tigers. And back-to-back singles. Tupelo with runners first and second. sun is back, and so is the wind. I apologize for any ambient noise. If it's too distracting or annoying, just mute out the volume. Again, high 2-0 count. In for a strike. All right, puts it in play right to the pitcher, and it is a easy breezy 1-3 toss out. Tigers strand two. We'll head to the bottom of the fifth inning. It'll be the Rebels coming up to bat. You're watching PNTV coverage, courtesy of Taco Casa and Shamrock Bank. In high for the ball. All right, well, the scoreboard has momentarily been blanked and it was 2 innings. Now it's back to zero again, flashing off and on. So single for Silo will put a base runner on. We are in the bottom of the fifth. Looks like they're starting to put the scores back up again for the third time on the scoreboard. Issues we had Thursday as it kept cutting off and cropping the numbers. So it was kind of almost undiscernible. You couldn't really read what the number was. Base runner goes. Throw is going to be on point. Gets him on the top set. Officially a 2-4 tag. They missed it again. I think they're going to have to redo the scoreboard a third time now. They keep skipping the fourth inning. They skipped the second one and then had to redo it. And I don't know that he can go in reverse. Pop up fly to right fielder. And that's going to do it. Two down. So We'll see if they get it fixed or not. See, anywho, I don't even know if you can see the scoreboard on the back there, but and a beautiful shot to left field. It's going to be an easy double, and that's the third of the game for the Rebels. All right, deep to center field. Flies out. Oh, so close, yet so far. Well, it is a beautiful day here for some baseball. Your score through 5 innings remains Tupelo 5, Silo 3. Led at the top of the 6th inning, it'll be the Tigers coming back up to the plate. outs now for the Tigers. Northcutt settling into a really nice rhythm here again. He had just a little bit of an oops inning earlier and then really kind of back on point, very precise, very good pitch count, a nice change of pace, even in style of pitching for Mendenhall, and it has paid huge dividends for the Rebels after giving up the grand slam. Mendenhall leads through three and has an opportunity here now for Northcutt to potentially win this game should Silo take the lead. 2 outs, 1-2 pitch count, and money pitch on its way. Just off the mark, evens up 2-2. Makes contact. This one's going to hook backwards just past the wall. Can't quite get to it. Count will resume 2-2 with two down. And K-time. Northcutt makes the cut. And we will head now to the bottom of the sixth inning. Rebels now down to their final 6 outs. They need 2 runs or 3 to take the lead. Tigers have played exceptionally well. A battle of Class 3A and Class B teams. Programs enter today's matchup 7-2 and 0-5 on the season, which just absolutely is not the standard typical season for a Tupelo squad. Hall of Fame coach Clay Weller struggling with losing some really key cogs from their quintessential run in fall and spring. Just take Roth and Fort Cobb Roxton, Tupelo right up there with them like clockwork, just top 3 teams for the better part of 8 years straight. Strike. And in for another strike. Well, the cryptic lettering for the scoreboard remains underneath the strike and out total now just a bottom tier. Two numbers now missing on the scoreboard. The five has been cut in third, so it looks like an equal sign. That's going to be a single for Northcutt. And the Rebels now potential game tying run coming up to home plate. Well, right to the right fielder, and he just about turned two on that one. So nifty footwork by the Rebels to get back in time, beating the throw. just makes contact and fouls off. So the Rebels here really running out of time. Opportunity still available to tie this game. Man. And it is a strikeout. Your score through six. Tupelo 5. Silo 3 will head to the top of the seventh inning. It'll be the Tigers coming up to bat for potentially the final time here for Game 4 action. Just a reminder, no fifth, third, or first place games. These are the rescheduled games from yesterday. So we will have a three-way doubleheader. Game coming up will be Wright City versus Tupelo, and then it'll be Silo versus Wright City. And then, if everything holds according to plan, I believe Rutan and Worcester will play one final game, a rematch from Thursday's Game 3, which went the way of the hometown Rams 11-3 in large part due to two grand slams. It was a huge day for the Rams. They had two grand slams in the 11-1 victory over Culver. They had another 2 and 3 RBI dinger in their game against Worcester, and absolutely just put on an offensive clinic that really left Rattan in a really, really good spot for any potential tiebreaker should there have been a second or third 2-0 team, all but eliminating the opportunity for that to happen in their bracket, winning both games. But they were setting really good for the tiebreaker system. They would have had 22 runs scored, 2-0. Would have been a lock for the championship game today. Flies out to center field. In case anybody is curious, since Tupelo, Wright City, and Silo are all playing doubleheaders today, they chose not to take the highest ranked team and play Rattan. As a result, Worcester, who did lose to Rattan on Thursday, will be coming back to play them over Colbert, who ended play 0-2 on Thursday. Worcester was 1-1 by virtue of their 9-8 extra inning win over Colbert. So that's the reason why you're seeing the rematch between potentially Rattan and Worcester. Walk for Tupelo now will put a base runner on once again. Positive for Silo has been four consecutive innings. I should say three consecutive innings. No runs scored after the grand slam at the top of the third. And so far holding Tupelo scoreless here for a potential fourth consecutive. This would be a huge upset. Simple fact that Tupelo's Class B, Silo's 3A, and then also based upon the records, Tupelo really tough start to the season. 0-5 so far here for the spring season. Takes the ball, will fire back to first, keeps him in high and tight. And picks him off at first. And pops up fly. And that'll do it. We'll head to the bottom of the seventh. Rebels need 2 runs to force extra innings, 3 to win by walk-off. Here we go. Rebels need a huge rally to the conclusion of the game. In large part, have been stymied, only scoring 1 run in the top, or correction, the bottom of the second, 2 runs in the bottom of the third, and that has been it. It's been a very good pitching performance by Mr. Walkup, one of the 3 players on Tupelo's squad on our Prep Nation 2025 watch list for all state selections and Player of the Year. That ball's going to be put in play, times it, snags it, flies out to center field, 1 down. Prior to this tournament, Silo lost 2 games out of state in the tournament. However, they've yet to lose to an OK Prep squad. This would be a shocking and very gratifying win for Tupelo. Hard luck losers early on in the season, 3 games canceled due to a variety of reasons. 5 games lost, 2 in extra innings, 3 by 1 run. It's been a very, very tough season for Clay Weller and squad. However, they have played exceptionally well today, and short of a little bump in the third, it's been about as good as they could play. This is going to be identical to the previous, except more shallow higher up. And back-to-back flies, 2 down now. And could it be? Tupelo can almost taste it. First victory of the season, and would be a major shot in the arm for the Tigers, giving them an opportunity here in back-to-back games against perennial powerhouses Silo, and then coming up in approximately 20 to 30 minutes, the Wright City Lumberjacks. Curve is just off the mark. I like the pitch selection, giving him nothing but the lean and fade. Only times that Aiden's really kind of messed up is he left a couple of balls right out in center plate that led to some really hard, deep triples for Silo. I think they may have had now 4 in the game, but they really, really made deep connections. Then obviously the solo home run with the other pitch that I think he'd want to have back, but otherwise he has done exceptionally well today. This one's in play, very doable. It's going to go called off by the shortstop. And that'll do it, folks. Victorious Tupelo Tigers, 5-3 over the Silo Rebels. Rebels will take a game off. Your next one will be Tupelo versus Wright City. We'll pause to do an update, and then we'll have the stream up for the next game here on PNTV. Final score, Tupelo 5, Silo 3. Thank you for watching Prep Nation.